Okay. Oh, sorry. Over there.
Secretary General Alexander Petersky from Gazeta RU, Moscow. Was in any way situation with Ukraine discussed with you and your counterpart, Mr. Lavrov, and was his reaction over the statement you heard of? Thank you very much.
Ukraine was not on the agenda of the NRC meeting. A couple of members of the Council mentioned Ukraine, but we didn't have a discussion on Ukraine. As you know, NATO ministers discussed Ukraine yesterday and adopted a statement on Ukraine.
Reuters.
Adrian Croft from Reuters. I heard what you said about chemical weapons, but do you believe there's any possibility of NATO or the NATO-Russia Council playing some kind of coordinating role or a role in securing the chemical weapons coming out of Syria? Thanks.
We didn't discuss that issue, but as I mentioned, we have stated that we stand ready to consider further assistance if requested, but so far we haven't received any request.
Over there.
Broadcasting company Pt.2, Nino Samkurashvili, Tbilisi, Georgia. What's your view about the Georgian-Russian relations, current relations, and when we have the context, when on the one hand here the Karashitsini-Abashidze talks, and on the other hand here is the continuing process of the installation of the fences and wires at the occupation border? Thank you.
Now we're speaking about the NATO position. We have just had a NATO-Russia Council meeting. I'm here actually in my capacity as chairman of the NATO-Russia Council. But now let me change my hat to NATO Secretary General. And the NATO's position on the Russia-Georgia relation remains the same. As you know, we insist on full respect for the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Georgia within its internationally recognized borders. We are strongly opposed to building those fences. Time is not to build fences, but literally speaking, to build bridges, to engage in dialogue, to find constructive political solutions. The erection of fences is clearly against international rules, and we urge Russia to comply with her international obligations.
Moscow Times.
Yeah, my question is, was the missile defense issue raised during the discussion, and can this issue make NATO-Russian relations more intense after Iran nuclear deal and prevent cooperation between the two parties in different spheres and other spheres other than missile defense?
Well, as you know, we have invited Russia to cooperate on missile defense. So far, we haven't seen much progress in negotiations or talks on such missile defense cooperation. But actually, we also had an exchange of views today on that issue, and I hope the dialogue will continue.
I had Kuna in the front row there.
Nawab Khan from the Kuwait News Agency. So was there any discussion on the Geneva Agreement with Iran, as this issue is being raised in the region, raising some questions on the effect this will have on the future developments in the region? Thank you.
I heard a lot of appreciation expressed, appreciation for the interim agreement, which hopefully can pave the way for a more lasting agreement on Iran's nuclear program. I think all members of the NATO-Russia Council appreciate the agreement that was reached in Geneva and look very much forward to a continued political dialogue with a view to finding a lasting agreement.
Front row.
Елена Черненко, газета «Коммерсант». Скажите, пожалуйста, обсуждалось сегодня ли в контексте вопроса Афганистана неиспользование странами НАТО транзитного пункта в Ульяновске? Есть ли какие-то перспективы, что все-таки этот пункт будет использоваться? Спасибо.
First of all members of the NATO-Russia Council appreciate the Russian offer to provide transit and also reverse transit. At the end of the day, it is a national decision whether each individual member of the ISAF coalition wants to use this or that transit route. And basically, it is also a commercial decision. We have seen some challenges as regards the cost of using that specific transit facility. I think there are ongoing efforts to overcome those problems, and then it is for each individual nation to decide whether they will use that transit facility. But I think all the transit facilities are still relevant. They can potentially be used pending practical circumstances, including, of course, the costs of using each individual transit route.
Okay. One last question over there.
Thank you, Excellency. Mustafa Basharat from Radio Free Europe. Could you give us some more details about how NATO and Russia can fight against terrorism and narco teams in Afghanistan? Another question is, so far NATO and United States bought helicopters and other airplanes for Afghanistan from Russia is not functioning very well. Did you talk about this issue also?
Yeah, actually, that's included in our work program for 2014. You mentioned first counter-terrorism activities. Actually, in 2013 already, we conducted a joint exercise on counter-terrorism. We have jointly developed techniques to detect potential suicide bombers and that way also prevent terrorist attacks. We have conducted joint exercises to prevent hijacking of airplanes, just to mention a couple of examples. And no doubt that counter-terrorism is an area with a potential for even stronger cooperation. On Afghanistan, yes, we have, as you may know, a helicopter trust fund established within the framework of the NATO-Russia Council. That trust fund finances training and education of Afghan helicopter crews, as well as spare parts for Afghan helicopters. So this is definitely an area where we do have cooperation and also foresee expanded cooperation in the future.
Thank you very much. Just to remind you, the Secretary General will be back in about 2 hours after the ISAF session, and you can find the statement of the NATO-Russia Council on the OPCW, both on our website, and I think it's going to be distributed outside. Thank you.